is Shamiria White, and today I'll be presenting a Lessons Learned presentation on behalf of the United Kingdom Cybersecurity team. The members of this team include Hardwell Edja, Jennifer Kim Roman, Reynalda Servin, Clement Tanji, and myself. The following presentation will cover the lessons learned from the recent cyber incident. We present our findings to the Chief Information Security Officer on our lessons learned, actions taken during the cyber incident, and will also review areas of improvement. We plan on discussing the following topics during this presentation: attacks and threats to our networks, forensic evidence, attribution, impact, business recovery and business continuity plan, areas of strengths, weaknesses, and improvement, remediation, and key takeaways. So what occurred during this attack? It was found that a user was sent a malicious phishing email with an Excel file attached. This file had malicious code embedded in it, which allowed the attacker to open a Windows command shell on the system. The file executed malicious code through WordPress and executed ransomware on the victim's machine. This ransomware, known as Rebaton, was executed and started to encrypt several files. A ransom was then demanded by the attackers in Bitcoin. In order to investigate the incident, we used Wireshark to analyze the PCAP files and identify malicious traffic between the victim and the attacker. We uncovered the exact malicious files located on the WordPress site, which contain specific instructions to encrypt the files on our systems. A few key pieces of evidence are listed here. First, we identified a file on the WordPress server, the info.txt.doc file, with encrypted text. We were able to decrypt the contents of this file using the tool crypttool2. We then utilized the oathcrack tool to break the hash password from the info.txt.doc document. The password that was identified was cyberwar. We then used our secret application to extract the unlocker.exe file, which was used to decrypt the encrypted ransomware files. The encrypted file was later used to decrypt the encrypted files. Lastly, we identified the hashed ID code that was located within the API key URL, and we put that password into an unlocker program which successfully decrypted our files. The need for Five Eye partners to share threat information amongst each other is vital. We highly encourage information sharing between the nations due to the potential to identify additional threats which may assist with being able to conduct attribution for this activity. It's possible to share information securely between the other Five Eye nations, and it's highly recommended because it will help us understand the scope, intent, and threats facing our nations. Source attribution is not needed. However, it will help us understand the who behind the attack and their intent and motives for attacking our networks. The impact to the organization can affect a lot of different areas. According to Proofpoint, ransomware is one of the biggest security threats to organizations. Some of the impacts can include reputational damage, financial loss, loss of sensitive data, or the potential for cybercriminals to conduct data extortion, downtime of networks, and loss of public trust. Next, let's cover some of our business recovery operations. During our business recovery process, there were areas where the team was very effective, and we would like to present some positive highlights. First, the incident response team contained the threat to limit the damage to our networks. We quickly identified the source of the malware and conducted a quick analysis on the files and successfully decrypted our files without paying the ransom. Our forensic team reviewed all the files using various tools at our disposal. And all the teams worked together despite personnel shortages and the challenges that we faced. While there were a lot of things that we did right, there are certainly some areas that we can improve in. First, there were security controls that failed to include our intrusion detection system, and we did not have sufficient snort rules to detect for this type of activity. We also didn't have sufficient firewalls placed on our web server for the summit. How can we improve these controls? We will deploy an endpoint detection and response to all of our hosts to stop breaches before they occur and contain the incident immediately. We also need better security user awareness training to include information about how cybercriminals use extortion, blackmail, and other tactics like social engineering. We need more comprehensive training to include insider threat training. Other areas of improvement include monitoring for vulnerabilities on our operating systems. We need to identify all vulnerabilities and develop a regular process for scanning for threats using Nessus. Part of the issue was that we allowed for the execution of malicious macros from Excel documents, which resulted in malicious code execution. So how can we manage patches and basic OS security? By maintaining a patch schedule and scanning our systems. This will prevent attackers from exploiting vulnerabilities and increase our overall security. We also experienced a few setbacks. After reviewing our Business Continuity Plan, or BCP, we will require more frequent backups of our data. Having regularly scheduled backups will allow for us to restore our systems to a state before the attack occurred. We will also require enhanced user awareness training for our employees twice a year, and we will update our incident response plan and communications plan to ensure that we understand how to respond to ransomware attacks. So how was the incident contained? First, we identified the GET request using Wireshark, and the malicious files were discovered. We contained this incident by removing the infected host from the network to contain the ransomware. We worked with the forensics team to quickly analyze files to find the passwords to decrypt our files. We took the following steps during the recovery phase. We reviewed network traffic in the PCAP to ensure that there was no communication to the attacker's infrastructure. We also re-imaged drives and scanned the drives for known malware before integrating them back into our networks. Here are the key takeaways from this incident. First, we need to review our incident response plan and business continuity plan to ensure that we have enough resources to respond to any future attacks. We also could have protected our web servers by placing a web application firewall. We could have implemented an intrusion detection system to detect malicious activity. And we also could have implemented a spam filter program to quarantine malicious phishing emails prior to user execution. With that, this concludes our presentation. As always, senior management is encouraged to review and act on the recommendations provided. We hope that you have found this presentation informative, and thank you for listening.